Welcome to another edition of the Red Zone podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Point du jour, and we are on day 8 and covering the Hamilton Tiger Cats, our second last team. So let's get right into it with the Ticats. For their re-signings, they re-signed on the offensive end, offensive lineman Brandon Revenberg, who's probably their best offensive lineman, so it was important to keep him. And then wide receivers Terry Godwin and Tim White. Yes, Tim White is back on the team after a little bit of a scare there. I mean, he wanted over $300,000 per year. He got like 250 or something like that. The only 300,000 receiver in the CFL is Eugene Lewis in Edmonton. So it was really rare that he was going to get that, especially with what Dalton Schoen got in Winnipeg. You kind of thought he was not going to get that, and he was probably going to get about 250 or something like that. And the Ticats definitely brought him back. A huge re-signing on that end. And then on the defensive end, you have defensive backs Stavros Katsatonis. That's a name and a half. And then defensive back Richard Leonard. So you bring back that defensive back room, which is pretty good, and it's looking pretty good with this addition as we get to the ads. You got defensive back Jamal Peters, which will fit in perfectly. Defensive lineman Dwayne Hendricks from Toronto, and then wide receiver Luther Hakinavanu. He rejoins Bo Levi Mitchell, this time in Hamilton. He got paid actually a decent amount this offseason, so good for him. Hopefully he can, break out this year, kind of like what a Sean Bain did. I don't think he'll do the production Sean Bain did, but, maybe get to like 600, 700 yards would be good for him. And then you get to their losses. You have linebacker Jameer Thurman, a big loss. You didn't really address that position, linebacker, this offseason, so that's a real thing we're going to have to watch out for. Quarterback Matthew Schultz. That's probably because Taylor Powell is going to take over as kind of the QB2, and I guess they liked what he did last season. Defensive lineman Malik Carney. You got defensive back Tunde Adeleke. Jamal Peters will be the replacement for that because I think Adeleke was probably too much money for the Ticats to bring back. And then running back Sean Thomas Erlington, who went to Montreal, which you are going to cover tomorrow. So not a bad free agency, but again, some holes that you're going to need to fill as the year goes on because it's kind of this weird team, incomplete team. You really need everything to go right, especially in the East Division with Toronto, with Montreal, and everything that's happening there, and Ottawa improving to a significant degree. So you're really going to have to fill in those holes, fill in those gaps of the losses like Jameer Thurman, which you really didn't address. And then maybe you guys can contend. Maybe the Hamilton Tiger Cats can really be 1 or 2. But for right now, it's going to be interesting on how they start the year. And we will wait and see. But that'll do it for this edition of the Red Zone podcast. Ticats fans, let me know what you think down in the comments below. And we'll see you tomorrow for our final free agency team in the Montreal Alouettes and breaking down the defending champs offseason. It was pretty interesting for them, so we'll get to that tomorrow. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And again, we will see you tomorrow. Peace.